Well, once again, I appreciate you guys' time. So, just start off just by telling us your name, and then when was your most recent trip to Ghana?
Okay.
My name is Arcelo White,
I'm Natasha White.
and our most recent trip our only trip to Ghana actually was, what has it been, June 20, late June time frame. I think if I recall correctly, it was like June 23rd, 27th.
23rd. No, I'm
I think
sorry.
it was
The 23rd.
23rd
That's
through
what it
the
was.
27th, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, so
And
it
you
was
got
really short.
and
Very
so
short.
you guys were in Ghana for a total of how many days and nights?
Overnight, I guess it would be three overnight days.
Yes, coming from Texas.
Mhm.
There.
Okay.
Up on us.
So why did you guys initially decide to come to Ghana? How did that come into fruition?
So like I said, we're travelers by heart. We really do enjoy traveling, just seeing the world and things of that nature. About a few years back, it occurred to me in all the places that I wanted to travel, that Africa wasn't really popping up, at least in my mind at the time. Probably like most Americans, I want to go to Europe. I want to go down to South America. I want to see all these sort of exotic places you see on television. And then I guess in the midst of, we had the incident with George Floyd, and just kind of all the racial tension here, it kind of just got into my psyche to go, well, I never actually considered going to Africa. And of course, I remember when I was younger, most of the images I always saw on television in Africa was basically disease, poverty, warfare, really nothing pleasant. So I decided to do a little bit more research myself and like see if that was actually accurate. Because I would meet Africans here in the state, and they were like, no, it's it's like any other place that you go. It's yeah, there's some bad parts, but you got good parts. There's luxury. There's it's really not much difference here. And so I was actually watching another YouTube, a geography kind of influence YouTube channel. They just geography of different countries around the world. And this particular one he brought up was Ghana. And he had mentioned that Ghana was kind of viewed as being kind of the gateway to West Africa, simply because I guess from the colonial past, English and things of that nature. So I told myself, I'm like, I do want to go to West Africa. I want to go to Africa. Specifically, I wanted to go to West Africa simply because knowing that my roots from slave trade, things like they go through there. And Ghana just honestly seemed like it would be the easiest one of all the countries, would be the easiest to actually go to and to be able to do a vacation. So that would and luck behold, we originally were going to actually go to Tokyo, Japan. Then COVID struck. We wanted to go for the Olympics.
Yeah.
COVID struck and pretty much canceled all those plans. And so I was like, well, I guess we can push Tokyo back. But once again, with all just the racial tension here in the United States, I was like, no, I got to go to Africa. I don't want to go to Africa. Like on Dave Chappelle, like, you going to Africa? Yes, Africa.
Yes, and not like, I know there's like Egypt and so forth, but we really specifically want to go to
to
quote
Black
unquote
Africa.
Black Africa. Yes.
All of our ancestors.
Yes.
So,
I'd like to add to that too, that, Africa was, it was on our list. It just wasn't like a place we were necessarily talking about like going to in the next few years, because of course, you hear of places like, oh, okay, go to maybe Kenya for the safari and go to South Africa and, Nelson Mandela and things like that. So we did, of course, want to go, but definitely when things hit home here, we just felt like we need some culture. Yeah, we need some culture.
We get around some Black folks.
Yes, we needed. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, to answer your question, it was kind of, I guess to sum everything up, it was basically a desire. It was our innate desire to travel, and also wanted to, I guess, to connect with being a place that our ancestors came from, and what we would actually term as being like this is Black Africa.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Okay, now prior to this, have either of you guys visited the continent?
Yes.
All right. So you make this decision to come to Black Africa, as you say. That's the first time I heard that, Black Africa. I want to go to Africa. Which part? Black Africa. What were your initial thoughts? What did you see? What did it smell like? How did it feel? What was you processing when you immediately got off that airplane?
So I guess I could fast forward to when we finally step out the airport. because it was just a process, like going through all of that. But when we finally stepped out of the airport, um, uh, it was like, wow, like we go and we look at the sign and we see the sign, we're like, wow, we're really here, you know. And we're like waiting for an Uber because I heard, yeah, there's Ubers there. I'm like, that's cool, that's familiar. Um, First person who approached us though was a taxi driver, and we had already known like about we're gonna have to, like, you know, bargain for prices and so forth, and they had to ask different questions, and surely enough, like the what he priced us was yeah, over the top, and we're just like, no, we're gonna get an Uber. And he like kept following us and
But of
so
course,
forth.
that's everywhere. Though, so.
You know, trying to make the deal. Yeah, I mean, you
I
could
guess
probably have that in New York or something. Yeah.
yes. I love like, but stepping out of the airport, and honestly, I guess like you breathe the first time you breathe in the air, and it's just to me like it was that like to me being very, like I said, really non-emotional, very intellectual guy. Even for myself, it was a sense of emotion, like wow, I'm actually like breathing in air from on the continent of Africa. So,
Wow.
and then at that point, it sunk in like I'm here. Even though the rest of it, I mean, kind of remind me, like you said, the taxi driver, especially trying to, you know, up the price. Things. I've been to a lot of countries and they do that everywhere. So you just, you know, people recognize you're a tourist, but
yeah, stand out.
yeah. So for me, it was just really a sense of neat, just to smell the air and walk on the ground. Knows like it's my first time on the continent of Africa. I'm literally in a place that hundreds of years ago my ancestors were located. So
You know, for the time that you guys were here, walk us through briefly, like, what did you guys actually do in that time? And like, what was the purpose, the real purpose of the trip? What did you have in mind to do?
Well, we definitely wanted to go to the slave castles. I felt like in America that we know, like, we weren't told everything about slavery, and even over the last few years, different podcasts and books have come out with like more details. But there's nothing like going to a slave castle and hearing those stories and being there and feeling that. So we
Mm.
definitely knew that that was a must. We wanted to also see, like, is this a place that we could potentially live? Because we were aware of like the excuse me, the like the welcoming home of African Americans, like what is it called, the year of return. Yes, the year of
Yeah.
return. We were aware that quite a bit of African Americans did move there, and um, things like that. So we were keeping that in mind too, as well as yes, going to Africa. Um,
So you guys came with very some very lofty agendas with a very small amount of time.
yeah, yeah.
so so talk to me now a little bit about how was that overall experience for you? I know it was short, but in a general synopsis, things maybe that stood out for you that was like, whoa, this is amazing, this is incredible. Things that I'll tell you what, we'll start with the things that maybe that was the new things that you experienced. Then we'll go to maybe some of the frustrations, and then we'll go to like the things that were just like, yo, this was amazing.
honestly, to me, a lot of the amazing things actually started even before we even landed in Ghana. Just being at the airport, JFK flying over here, and I remember telling my wife, I've never been on a plane that was like all black before. Like I never.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Everybody
yes.
on the plane, maybe with the exception of 5 people, were black, and excluding the crew.
Wow.
Everybody, because most people were Ghanaian origin, or kind of like us, there to see. So that was just amazing. And then actually touching down, everybody we see from construction workers, you know, the airport workers to the police, the military, everybody is black. So that was amazing to me. Another amazing thing was the sense of I felt security or safety. And you've been living there a while, so maybe it's just a naive thing on my part. But I remember being in some of the, the lower income areas, maybe say it that way. But I never once actually felt unsafe. Like I always felt very comfortable, even in those areas. Unlike here in the U.S., and you go into some, bad areas of Chicago or Dallas or New York, you're on edge for the most part. Then the other is the last amazing thing on my part too was just I guess the I guess the calmness of the area. Like everything is always so touching. Say touch and go here. Everybody's kind of on the grind. Time is money. I gotta stay on my grind. I gotta make money. Get out my way. Uh, I was really quite amazed. It's just like everybody just had a natural calmness. How about you go? How about you tell what you thought was amazing?
Yes.
And then I'll talk about what I thought was kind of the negatives.
I knew before I went that the food was really fresh, and like I've heard good things about it, but it wasn't until I tried it that I was just blown away. I was like, it was just like different things that were going together that I didn't even think would go together. Like I don't recall the name of like all the dishes, but I know that it was like fish and beef, and it seemed like in some kind of stew. I don't know if okra was thrown in there or not. With like the bantu, I think it is, with the corn. The corn, I think it is. But anyway, like all of that working well together with the flavors and the spices. Oh, it was just amazing. And then like just some other things. The list goes on. So the food definitely felt fresh. It really made me question, what am I eating? Like I want more fresh food now. Okay, aside from the food, I think it was just like uh well, like he said, like everything is black. Like I even picked up the money, and I was like, there are 6 black men on the money.
Yeah, the boy got his own money.
Exactly, not 1, 6.
Yeah.
Like I've never
we're
seen
still
that.
fighting over here to get here. It's
Exactly. I have no idea if that's going to ever happen. So that was just amazing, and I mean, like keep some for souvenirs to come back and show people. Like, look. Like handing out to the males in my family, like look back in. Okay. Another thing was you can get things for less. So because the US dollar, like it's what's the politically correct way to say?
We usually say that, I mean, the exchange rate is higher,
Yes, the exchange rate is higher. Yes, that we were able to get so much stuff, and I was able to bring quite a bit of stuff back, especially when we went to Marcola Market. So it's like bargaining. The bargaining can be like I guess a good thing and a bad thing. So I'm putting it on the good side there. And like our tour guides, well, the tour guide that was with us that day when we went to the market, he was able to bargain everything for us, and so that made things a lot easier.
Now you talk. You done with amazing. You wanna go talk about move to negative.
So you guys have some great things that initially that was like amazing, the all black everything, the money, and the food was delicious. But what were some of those things that were, let's say, the cultural differences that made it challenging or made it difficult or were new for that time, that you guys were in Ghana?
I'll start with that. To me, it was just the lack of urgency. Earlier, I said calmness is a plus, but it can also be a negative. It's used to, hey, if it says you're showing up at 8, you're going to be here at 8. In fact, I was in the military, and in the military, if you were on time, you were late, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It was, here is like, oh, yeah, hour, it's no big deal. We get just an hour, we'll get there eventually, and it's just a sense of just complete lack of urgency. Like
so with us, like our first tour, the tour guide was an hour and a half late.
Like I said, our tour is already, like you said, we're not there for many days, so we know we got to get everything needs to run smoothly so we can get everything we want to do in this short amount of time.
Yes.
So the lack of urgency to me. Also a cultural thing to me is just safety awareness or risk management, however you want to sort of frame it. Because I'm really, like I said, I do those type of things for a living, and I'm just observing things like how the streets are designed. Now, of course, this went everywhere because obviously the like resorts and hotels, things like that. That
touristy places.
Touristy places was definitely different, but
like
I remember
about the stairs. So one place that I wanted to go to was I wanted to see some fantasy fantasy coffins, and because that was so cool. I had never seen that before. And fantasy coffins, for those who don't know, they're coffins that are made pretty much just saying something about that person's life, maybe what they did for a living, what they were interested in. So coffins shaped like as a fish for somebody who might have been a fisherman, maybe. Shaped like a camera for someone who maybe was a photographer, Coca-Cola bottle, bird. I saw all kinds of stuff, and that was really cool. But on my way up to the workshop, I remember Asolo was saying like, yeah, be aware of these stairs. Cause I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, you know, there's steps and they're wooden and they go up, you know, people got to go up and down to work it every day. Can't be just too bad. On the way up, it wasn't too bad. I mean, it was creaky a little bit, but on the way down, I could see more of like, okay, the angles of the steps, like some a little like diagonal and so forth. So
Yeah, the actual platform,
yeah.
even the railings were crooked. Like it was just, it's one of those things that I could tell nobody, you know, you bring this up, nobody just like, oh, what are you talking about? Like I guess people just used to it.
Oh, the cars. Okay, so with our tours, like both of them were unmarked vehicles. So at first I wasn't even sure like if we were getting in the right car or what it is, but yeah. So the cars are not in the best shape. They're older cars. Talking to you, you actually had to educate me on this, you know, after the fact once I was like, Tim, you know, like what's going on? Because on our second tour, the tour guide's car broke down. So we were on our way, second day there, we're on our way to the slave castles, and then he pulls over and the car is broke down for 2 hours. Because I'm on WhatsApp and I reached out to like his boss and I was asking like, you know, is somebody else like on the way? Are there like other tours going on? Maybe we can just like catch a ride with them or something. And he's pretty much just kind of like assuring like, oh, you know, it'll be okay. Cutting it short though, like the tour guide had some guys help him and they come out like a mallet and duct tape and like different things and pulling stuff out the car. We're like, you know, what is going on? And he gives it a temporary fix. So we were able to make it to the slave castles, but that was definitely something I've never seen before.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I could definitely understand what you guys are saying because, you know, the reality is, I think that as we were talking and you guys were mentioning offline that, you know, you didn't want to be so negative because you didn't want to make it seem like a bad experience. But I think that, you know, there's two lenses or two hats that I'm wearing. One from having been here for such a long time, and then the other hat is recognizing that, you know, it does look bad for certain aspects of business. And I think, unfortunately, you do have those companies, like you mentioned, that do have the checks and balances and all that, but they may not be as prevalent in terms of, you know, U.S. has what, 330 million people, right? It's been established for several hundred years. Ghana has 30 million people. Most of the places that tourists visit are going to be in the greater Accra area, and then even the central area, you're talking about 5 to 8 million people. You know what I'm saying? And so not been around, but in terms of gained its independence, March 6, 1957. So you're talking about a short amount of time. And unfortunately, it's not enough of those companies who are doing it in like a higher standard that's easily accessible. What you'll get is the things that you guys got where it's a blessing and it's a not so good thing because anybody can have a business. Anybody can have a business. But the challenge is those checks and balances, right? So I can literally right now, if I wanted to put something online to do tours, all I got to do is hire a driver so that when you say, hey, I want to do this tour, I can call up, you know, Kwame and say, hey, Kwame, I need you to pick these people up, whatever. But I may not have no checks and balances because I haven't looked at Kwame's car. I just, you know, so it does make it challenging, you know what I'm saying, when folks like you all come and you're trying to get the best experience. But that stuff is really challenging. You know, you're on the side of the road. And I know that road from Accra to Cape Coast is like, depending on where you stop, it ain't nothing but bushes.
Yeah.
And hopefully you guys stopped in the daytime because at night it's like you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, on the way back though, we got caught at night and it was pouring down, raining, like you said, bushes.
Because like the roads don't seem to be expanded enough to accommodate the amount of traffic that goes through it, like it'd be like 2 lanes, you know, for so many people. And the roads are different in some areas. Like it may be pavement, then it may be like dirt, you know, and then that with rain and just kind of how the rain is being handled. Like what was it, like sand?
Yeah, the drainage is not.
Yeah.
Basically the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Infrastructure not.
Yeah.
Create a.
So that on top of our driver driving, weaving in and out, and he driving fast, and he's it seemed like he's really in a rush to get us back, but I'm like, we are not in the Fast and Furious. Like I just want
to get back safely.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's pouring, it's raining. What's going on?
Yeah,
3 days is a really short time. It's a really short time, and I hate that, you know, you had these negative experiences that happened to you, but it's real experiences that it ain't like you made it up. You know what I'm saying? This is real stuff.
Yeah.
So here's the $1 million question. Do you feel like, number one, you would come again? And maybe the second part to that is, do you feel like this is a place that you could envision yourself being long term?
Yes. Okay, for me.
As for myself, I think we're on accord on this as well. Definitely coming back. Actually, yeah, definitely. It's a definitely coming back. Like I said, it has frustrations, don't get me wrong. But a lot of this is, a lot of it too is just now, if I go back and I experience it, I kind of understand. So I can actually, going back, I'll be able to, okay, I know how to do a better job in vetting, you know, who I deal with, and just, you know, it won't shock me, and I know how to actually respond to it. So, you know, I always been the type of person that I can't let a bad experience per se, like you said, Ghana's 30 million people in the country. Can't let one bad experience throw me off the entirety of the entire country. And as you mentioned, it was such a short trip, I didn't get a chance to really. There was so much stuff we actually wanted to go see. We didn't get a chance to see like the Volta region. And trust me, the second time, going to be much better. I know now. Best way to say.
Yes, it was. This was definitely an educational trip too. We learned because we've been some other places, and so we're like kind of just, you know, just kind of expected to kind of go a certain way, and then we learned like the differences there, and so it was a wake up call. But once we came back, I mean, we still cherish the fact that we were there, and still like wow, like, you know, not everybody can say that.
It's not a matter of we like to go back. I'm telling you, Ghana, we will be back. So I put it that way. It's not a matter of I like to go back.
Yes.
But to kind of answer the second part of your question, as far as living, I'm still kind of out on that right now. I know for me initially being there, it was a lot of things I like. And like I said, definitely going back. But at this point in time, I can say off the initial, maybe it was just 3.5, that I can be like, you know, I think I want to actually live here. I saw some things that were a plus, but also seen a lot of things. And it's honestly more on my end, growing up here in a, you know, Western country, just used to certain level of services and things of that nature. And I just know kind of, at least where I feel right now, at this point in my life, it would be very tricky. There's a lot of things I would have to give up and kind of how to alter in order to really make it happen.
You know what? I think what you're saying makes sense. And, you know, I tell people everybody's story is different. I mean, I was visiting Ghana off and on for 13 years before I moved here. And I moved here with the purpose, like, I have a nonprofit organization that's been operating here for 5 years. And I got to the place in life where I couldn't see myself, or I couldn't see the next step being any other place other than Ghana. And even with all that, I mean, all the challenges that I had just relocating. So I can imagine that, you know, you don't really get an opportunity to take it all in, but to hear you guys say that you would, you know, you said we will be back. So to hear that, I think is encouraging. Last thing is maybe your top pieces of advice for somebody that's like yourself. How would you help them prepare to maybe have a different trip than you guys had? What would you say to them?
I would say to network with people who are already there. Like, I know that, you know, you were a contact for us, and that was great to like, we didn't ask you about like tours or anything, but we did ask like some cultural questions. So, to do that, and also to we hired a driver on our last day because we were like, we haven't seen enough, you know. So on our last day, we hired a driver to just take us around, and we were like with them for hours, so we can go to some places that other places we were interested in, check out some other neighborhoods, like get more of a perspective.
That
of
was
like,
the smoothest day. Right
yeah,
there.
exactly.
No
So
hiccups
definitely
in-
do that. To keep an open mind, to know that it's not going to be like, you know, what you're used to necessarily, that there are some places that are going to be more comfortable, and then there are some places that maybe not so much, but just keep an open mind, take it all in, like you were saying, like don't judge off of like, I guess like one instance or like that.
Something else as well. I'm like, you have to, take Ghana, and I would say this even outside just Ghana, anywhere you go, take the place for what it is. Don't come with the mindset of my home transposed over there.
Yeah.
You have to go any place you go. Even here in the US, if I go, we live in Texas, but if I go to, I don't know, Missouri is what Missouri is. It's not Texas in Missouri,
I think there's some really good advice, and for you guys to come, and I hope, as you guys said, that the experience overall, created some good memories, and those good memories will be in your mind the next time you're planning a trip to a place like Ghana, anywhere else in the diaspora. And so, I appreciate it. I think that the information and insight that you guys shared will definitely help a lot of folks who are in a position like yourselves. And I'm appreciative of all of it. So thank you very much.